I'm going to give you a demonstration how to make the perfect fire. We've got a multi-fuel stove here which can burn logs, coal and also smokeless fuel. You will want to check before you look at burning coal, for example. If you're in a smoke controlled area, you can do this by checking the DEFRA website. You will be able to burn coal in a smoke controlled area if your stove appliance has an exemption on it. So we'll take you through the basics of getting the perfect fire going using smokeless coal. We're going to be using coalite ovals, which is a smokeless coal, as we've said. What we find is that with a smokeless coal like coalite, it will burn a lot longer. It can burn up to like 6 to 8 hours. So it's really good over the winter, over long cold nights. I'm going to start by opening the stove up. Always make sure that it's clean on the inside. You should have like a little nozzle which opens up the grids at the bottom. You can just give that a shake just to make sure, see if any ash actually falls down, because what's going to be important is that we have airflow coming through the fire and up through. That will give us our heat and make sure everything burns properly. So we're going to go ahead by getting some kindling, and what we're going to do is, a bit like Jenga, we're just going to place it inside the stove. Every layer is going to be crisscrossed. So one, we're keeping the airflow, and two, it's in a nice uniform position for us to place our fire lighters. What you want to do as you're building more and more fires is try and use less and less kindling and also less and less fire lighter. One, as a bit of a challenge to yourself, and two, obviously just save yourself a little bit more money by using less each time. Fire lighter, so I've just got a simple fire lighter in there, in between the kindling, making sure it doesn't fall down the grid, and just in accessible places where we can actually light it. Before we light these, I'll just show you a little bit about the actual dials and switches on your stove. They'll be in slightly different places depending on the make and model of your stove, but typically you'll have a bottom lever which you want to start off with them both open, the top and the bottom. The bottom one will controls your airflow from the bottom of the stove, so this will really determine like the heat that you actually want the stove to be kicking out. Later on you might want to reduce it, but initially when you're starting the fire you want that fully open. And same with the top. The top it's more useful for actual house coal and logs where you've got an attractive flame. With these coalite ovals you'll get more of a like lower embers, but it'll kick out more heat, but you won't get that same attractive long flame that you will get from coal and logs. This is to control the airflow as acting as a drag, and it also keeps away like any smut or soot away from the actual window frame, so it's very good for controlling that display and how that looks. If you want once the fire's been on a while, to actually for the fire to die down, you'll just close that completely, and eventually over time that'll simmer down. But we'll keep that open and we'll get the fire going. So lighters match, and then if you just simply touch your different fire lighter points, and then a nice little trick is to, rather than closing your window completely, just pull it to, but don't lock it. Okay, that's really getting going now. When the fire's going like that, there's no way that it's really going to go out unless you chuck a bucket of water on. So I'm just going to open that up. As you can see, it's really roaring. And we're just going to place these around the centre. And don't worry about just chucking them in there. Again, what I'm going to do is just close the door, but just leave it slightly ajar, so it's dragging the flames from the kindling and the firelighter into the actual oval, so they'll start to really catch. So once that gets going, once the ovals have caught, we can then just start to add a few more as we go on. Do it little and often, that's the best way really. You don't want to smother the fire. That's been going for about a minute now, so we'll just close that door to get all together and just let that take. Okay, so them long flames that you can see there is still the firelighter coming up through the briquettes, but I'll just take you in for a closer look because you'll see that the briquettes are starting to ember now, and that means when they've taken, and that's what we're trying to aim for. So them flames are starting to die down a little bit, so we're just going to open up and just add a few more briquettes just to give it a nice deep bed. From this particular angle it looks like it's gone out, but I'll just show you inside, and as you can see it's quite dark in there, but just below all the briquettes you've got some real deep embers, and that's kicking off a lot of heat, and that's what you want from smokeless briquettes, especially coal-light. So yeah, that should now burn for a good 5 or 6, possibly 7-8 hours. Another little trick what you can do if you do want to see a little bit of a display in terms of flame, get a bit of kindling and just pop it on top, and that'll, after a while the flames will catch onto that and take to that. Again, we've got them nice glowing embers below the briquettes. We'll just open up to give you a better look. And that's really what you want to get from the smokeless briquettes. That low, deep, glowing red and orange really gives a lot of heat and kicks out a lot of heat. And after a while, that kindling that we just popped on the top, that should take, and that'll again will give you just more of an attractive flame if that's what you're looking for. And you can, if you want, you can mix with the smokeless briquettes. You can put some coal on there, even put logs on, with a multi-fuel burner. What's really important is the actual hue of the briquettes catching. You can see some behind, you can see just at the back where the ones are really glowing red hot. And again, at this stage we could start adding a few more into there. Now it's really like taken, but as I said, little and often is the best way. But if you want to leave it overnight, you'd be more than welcome just to put about 50% of what's there extra on top, and that'll last you through the night. Okay, so this is exactly 6 hours later. And if we look inside, you can still see that there's embers in there, still kicking out some heat. If we look at the thermostat, it's at just under 200 degrees. So yeah, that's coal-light ovals, ideal just for giving you that all-night heat.